we are conducting a few interviews with some moms who bike here in Honolulu as part of Week Without Driving. So we are highlighting that kids are involuntary non-drivers and talking about how we help equip them with different tools, starting with biking, to be more independently mobile, and what we need as moms and as creators of these little bicyclists, what kind of infrastructure they would need in order to be able to be mobile in our environment.
Hi, my name is Yamato, and I have two kids. We all bike together. My son is 5, and my daughter is 8.
Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you. My pleasure.
So my first question is, what motivated you to start biking with your kids, and what keeps you doing it even when it's hard?
Sure, yeah. I was a bicyclist. I rode a bike for commuting before having kids. So it was just a natural thing to do. Once I had kids, I didn't stop biking because it's something I enjoy. So once they were old enough, my first daughter, when she was born, I think we had her first join me biking when she was around 8 months. So it was just a very natural transition to have my kids with me on the bike going somewhere.
Yeah, that's great. Did like the dynamic change when you had your son as well, and then did you double up on the bike?
Yeah.
Or the bike seat?
Oh, I think with anyone with kids, you realize it's always a transition, like they're growing, so you have to adapt as they grow, and it's the same with biking. You adapt whatever you're using as they get older. So we've probably gone through like 4 or 5 different iterations as my daughter has gone from 8 months to 8 years old now. So there's a transition as she's now biking on her own 2 wheels.
Yeah.
So we've gone from many different styles throughout the 8 years.
That's very cool. And what advice would you give someone who's curious about biking with their child but hesitant to start?
I think that's great. Just the curiosity alone. I recommend they read up on it. If they know anyone who does bike with kids, talk to them. If they see anyone, like at a park, sometimes people will bring their bike with their kids to the park. Go up and talk to them about their bike and see what they like and don't like about it. There's so many different makers and a huge range in prices too. So I think any chance you get to talk with someone who is already biking with kids, I think it's a great opportunity to find out pros and cons, and then maybe they'll even let you test out their bike and you can see what feels right. And I also recommend, you might not get it perfectly right the first time you try. You might say like, oh, it didn't really feel right, or my kids didn't like the seat or something. So it might take a couple different iterations and testing things out until you find something that's really comfortable, works for the family.
Sure. And why do you think it's important for us as planners, parents, community to care about kids as people who don't drive?
Well, we are establishing what's norm for them. So, as parents, we're role models to them of what normal might look like. Yeah. So I think when you can incorporate walking, biking, other modes other than the car, you just expand their view of the world and like what's possible. For me, like what left a big impact on my life was I went to Japan from a young age because my grandparents lived there. They didn't own a car, so they biked everywhere, and I think that has been a big source of the reason why I started biking myself when I became an adult, is because I just knew that, there is a lifestyle without a car, and it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a mom who bikes, and with one 12-year-old son and one almost to be 9-year-old daughter, and we are a family that bikes.
So as women, what kind of safety concerns, physical, social, or emotional, do you think we uniquely face when biking with children?
I think it's just like twice the fear, right? For every additional child, like that fear factor rises. And so I think that's really a big part of it, particularly when, you're on the road with cars. Like, I'm not afraid of other cyclists. I'm not afraid of other people walking. I'm not afraid of those things. It's these multi-ton, massive sort of death machines on the road that
Mm-hmm.
I'm more nervous about with my kids. And it's gotten progressively worse as they've gotten larger and bigger and stuff like that. So that's really it. So, I mean, it just then affects like where and how and under what circumstances that you're willing to bike, and when you're willing to let them bike too. So
yeah. And what makes a bike route feel safe, enjoyable, or doable when you've got a kid on board or behind you, or in front of you?
Yeah. So, I mean, the protection and the separation, right? Like, at best, it's, got some serious separation between you and the car traffic, whether it be kind of a multi-use path on the side or, something like the King Street bike lane that has like some real delineations with the traffic. That's like the top, right? Like that's the preferred, but like they don't go everywhere or they go places, but they, or where you're going is kind of a little bit off that path or off that network. And so that's when it gets kind of tricky, to be honest. So, you kind of do your best. You either look for low stress, so like the ones where you don't think you're going to have a traffic, or you limit the amount of time you're going to be on that road as much as humanly possible. And I think we don't have that as much, I think, like Diamond Head to Eva, but some of our north-south connections are a little bit gnarly, I think. Like down here, if you're coming from New Oahu, there actually isn't like a great protected mechanism to get down into this space. So that's a little tricky. And then I think also getting into Waikiki can be somewhat of a challenge. Like if you stay the protected all the way, there's still like, there's a few like key gaps that we have. So that makes it hard to like really do it fluidly for all things.
You really have to plan to like go around to a different area.
Or be willing to just go out of your way or make the trade-off where you're on the sidewalk, but like that's also got its challenges, and people walking, reasonably so sometimes get freaked out when you're on a bike behind them. So, so we just got to take care of each other and keep an eye out. So,
yeah. And what do you think would surprise people about what it's like to bike with kids?
Especially when they're on their own, it's pretty easy. Like you can just like pop on and go. I think sometimes people forget. I think also if you didn't grow up biking and like maybe you just don't quite know the joy of being able to do it. Like it is still really fun to like just like zoom out on a bike. And I mean, bicyclists are some of the happiest commuters out there. So, and I think it's because you're out there, like the wind is in your hair and you're just cruising along. So,
yeah. Renee Espio. I'm a mom of one boy. He is 4.5, going on 14, and his name is Makai.
Okay, so maybe this is not quite like geared towards you just yet, but would you feel comfortable letting your son bike alone, maybe when he's older?
Oh, for sure. I actually moved from Honolulu to Kailua years ago, almost for that sole purpose. I was like, okay, I'm starting a family. I would be super happy if I could have a free range kid who could sort of, go off and kind of bike with his friends after school. And I see that happening in Kailua. And it's one of the reasons why I moved over there, because I thought, a kid biking in Honolulu was less safe. So I'm super excited for it. I think around like 4th, 5th grade is kind of what we typically see kids becoming independent and biking on their own. So really excited for that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it makes me think too, like, I think a lot of parents talk about how like they really get their independence back when their kids start driving at 16. And so you're actually getting maybe more of that independence back when your kid's a little bit younger, because they get to do something that's like they can actually take control of, like biking.
Right. And then he, obviously is going to have his own independence too, right? He doesn't have to sit around waiting for me. He can kind of go off.
I love that. It's independent for everyone.
Yeah.
That's great. And then my next question is, what does independent mobility mean to you as a parent? And how do you think biking supports or limits that for your child or for kids in general?
I mean, I think it just adds to sort of the skills that kids have. Obviously, they can walk to their friend's house or they could walk certain places, but it's limiting, right? You can only walk so far a certain period of time. So it gives them just a broader geographical range that they can explore. We do live on the windward side. It's a pretty big community. We live in Enchanted Lake, which is a bit far from Kailua Beach and downtown Kailua Intermediate School. And so the bike definitely like expands how far they can go and the things that they can reach in their daily life. So I think it definitely expands kids' universe.
Yeah.
With just 2 wheels.
How far are those things, like Kailua Beach to Enchanted Lake and like those?
They're probably, it's like a mile or two,
Okay. So very doable on bike.
Totally
it's
doable
very
on a bike.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty long if you're walking in the hot sun.
Sure.
But wheels, obviously, just kind of roll along and
make everything better. Kids are resilient. Yeah. They're like, I'll bike in the hot sun or the rain.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And what's something that you've learned since starting to bike with your child? Maybe whether it be about yourself, about your community, maybe your neighborhood.
I have definitely noticed that there are more people biking with their kids than I realized. Yeah. Once you kind of start doing something and become aware of something, you tend to notice it. So even though, we work sort of in bike infrastructure and everything, I don't think I ever really noticed the moms and the dads that much until I had a kid myself and started getting on bikes. And so it really is a great mode of transportation, I think, for people with little kids in certain contexts. Like we see a lot of people drop off their kids at preschool in the morning on bicycles. They don't have to deal with the kind of mess of the drop off. They don't have to find a parking space. They're just sort of drop the kid and go, So it does seem to be working for a lot of parents. It's just something I've noticed more.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And in all different kinds of configurations too.
Okay.
I'm always kind of taking note of different cargo bikes or different seats. And
have you seen one that you're like, oh, that seems like the best one? Maybe you have the best
one. I really
one,
like the long seat,
Yeah.
So we could kind of sit sort of together. So that's sort of what I'm looking for next.
That's really cool.
Yeah.